And this is one of the key things to understand about control of your time is that the interruptions from modern day technology will rob you of control of your time if you let them. People will come to you with their problems and their agenda and all kinds of things that they need to be figuring out, not you. Hello, everyone. Glad to have you back here. Last week, we talked about your quality of time, very philosophical to some extent, but this week, we're going to be talking about your control of time. It's not going to be philosophical. We're just going to be talking about practical stuff here. I want you to stick around and hear this because you need someone to remind you of this stuff. So, this is Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Back, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. I am the youngest son of Bill Johnson. I have a cold. I haven't had a cold in a long time, but I have one now. I don't know where it came from. I don't remember the last cold I had, but if my voice sounds terrible, that's the reason. But just stick with me. Now, subscribers, thank you very much. If you're not subscribed, I still appreciate you being here. I really do. And I hope you do subscribe. This is good stuff. Let's jump into this. Now, we discussed quality of time last week. I'm not going to go over that again. I'll leave a link at the end of this video. You can go back and watch that if you didn't see it already. This week, we're going to talk about control of time because when you don't have control of your time, it automatically lowers your quality of time. So we're going to start out by just a few things that kind of take away your control of time. The first thing is this, which is not necessarily bad. The first thing is obligations. Most of us have obligations. It could be work, it could be relationships that we have to maintain in some way, but most of us have obligations. And to some extent, you can't get away from obligations. So to some extent, a portion of your time each day is going to be time that you're not in control of, so to speak. I mean, you have to do this, right? So that's fine and dandy. Now, it is important that you don't let obligations get away from you in the sense of letting them take maybe more time than they should. And we'll discuss that a little bit later on. But generally speaking, all of us have obligations, and that's fine. But what about your free time? What about the time where it's not really your obligations that are taking your time? It's just the time that you have where you actually can choose what you're doing with that time. Now, one of the things that we all have to deal with, I don't care how focused you are, I don't care how ambitious you are, and I don't care, like we all have to deal sometimes at some point with boredom. And the problem with boredom is that it leads us to seek out distractions. So what we want to do, we want to fill the boredom with something. Just something to take our attention, just something not to feel so bored, right? Now, in this modern world, look, I wasn't alive 500 years ago, neither were you. In this modern world, we have this technology, all these devices, smartphones, television, video games, and everything is designed to take our attention. Everything, it's all designed to take your attention. And the interesting thing about it, especially with the advent of smart things like email and smartphones, is that you have to be very, very careful because they interrupt you. And this is one of the key things to understand about control of your time is that the interruptions from modern day technology will rob you of control of your time if you let them. Let me give you an example. So you know that if you have a social media account and you don't shut off those notifications, these social media sites will be sending messages to your email inbox every time somebody that you know posts something on social media. And it's ridiculous. Like, you don't need to know every time somebody put a candle on a cake, or every time somebody, just made dinner, or every time, like, the notification, I get notifications on my smartphone about coupons that I don't care about, don't need, but all of these notifications. And understand that on the other end of all this technology is or are people. So what am I trying to say here? They're trying to take you off of whatever your agenda is, and they're trying to get you to pay attention to whatever their agenda is. They want you to be thinking about what they want you to be thinking about, and prioritizing what they want you to prioritize. And so that's reducing control of your time. And I want you to stay on top of this. If you got a smartphone, turn off all the notifications. You don't need to be notified about everything. Now, a lot of you have already done this, but if you haven't, I'm reminding you, turn off all of the notifications. Your attention cannot just be diverted here and there and here and there. Just interruptions all day long. You can't focus on anything because you're always distracted by all these interruptions. You don't have control of your time that way. Email, I should talk a little bit more about this. Email is a tool that is very powerful, very beneficial in many ways. I'm not saying the email is bad, but what I am saying is that you need to rein it in. You need to understand the nature of email. Be wary, for instance, about waking up early in the morning and just going to check your email. And the reason I say that is because when you check your email, what ends up happening is you start responding to other people's agendas. You're checking this message and checking that message, and somebody wants you to do this. Somebody wants you to respond about this, think about this, worry about this. And all of a sudden, here you are, your day's just starting, and your whole agenda is dominated by other people's agendas. So be wary about checking in on your email as soon as you wake up, or that's in my opinion not a great habit. When you wake up in the morning, make sure that your agenda early in the morning is your agenda, that you're not just reflexively responding to what somebody else wants you to be thinking about at that time. You need time, you need control of your time so that you can think about things that you need to be thinking about your own agenda. Okay. Now, the last thing about these smartphones, understand that smartphones can make you dumber. I know it's smart. It's supposed to be smart, but smartphones can make you dumber. And it goes back to what I just said. Smartphones are great at notifying you and interrupting you, with a lot of nonsense. And if you're not careful, you will find that the smartphone will become your master. And I see this happening to people. So again, I'm not saying anything that you don't already know. What I'm asking you is, are you on top of it? Is your smartphone your master? Are you responding to that stupid phone all the time? I mean, seriously, are you really in control of your time, or is it that dumb phone that has you doing what it wants you to do? So stay on top of that, okay? Make sure that you stay in control of your time. Now, practically speaking, what are some things that you can do to help you stay in control of your time? I'm going to give you a few things here. Number one is just take back your time. This has to do mostly with your relationships. I want you to get comfortable saying not now and no to people. I know it doesn't feel good when you have to tell somebody no. And maybe you don't have to tell them no. Maybe the answer is just not now. I can't do that now. But I want you to get comfortable telling people this more often. Not now and no. People will come to you with their problems and their agenda and all kinds of things that they need to be figuring out. Not you. Now, you may be a helpful person. You may enjoy helping people, but just be aware that if you're someone who can't say not now, if you're someone who can't say no, people will kind of bombard you with their needs because they know that you're going to say yes. And I don't want to say abuse because I think that's a strong term, but some people can kind of take advantage of you if you're someone who doesn't know how to say not now and no to people. Okay. So that's one way that you get control of your time is just don't let people just have you working on their agenda. And here you are, you're not working on anything that's good for you. You're just working on their stuff. Now, number two, buy back time. What does this mean? You may have to pay more. Okay. Sometimes you have to pay more to buy back time. That could be delegating. Sometimes there are things that you're doing that it would just be better for you to pay somebody else to do. And then you use that time to do something more productive, uh, more gratifying, whatever it is. But buy back your time. That's an actual strategy. A lot of you are already doing that. Some of you are not. I'm talking to people who are, I don't know, feel like they have to do everything themselves. I'm telling you, buy back your time. Okay? Pay somebody to do that thing. Buy back your time. Or just delegate. Sometimes it doesn't cost you any money. Some of you have families, kids. You're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to do everything yourself. Give those kids something to do. They can do some of that stuff. I have kids, I know. They can do some of that stuff, okay? So take back your time. Buy back your time when necessary. Delegate. You don't have to do it all, okay? But importantly, spend money when it needs to be spent to buy back your time. Okay, another thing that you can do. I want you to always be learning. Always be learning. And the reason I say this is because when you learn and when you decide that you're going to take your time to learn, like you're controlling your time. And the reason I say that is because like nobody can force you to do that. That's something that you decide to do. So always be learning, whether it's reading, you want to, go buy some books, read. A lot of books you don't even have to buy. You can just get an audio book and just listen to it in your car, but always be learning. Invest in courses. If you want to go back to university or something like that and study, that's fine too, but always be learning. That's control of your time, right? That's something that you decide to do. So another thing, kind of in the same vein, is always be exercising. And the reason I love this one is because exercise is non-compulsory. So if you're exercising, it's almost definitely because you choose to exercise. Okay, so you're exerting control over your time. Exercising doesn't always feel pleasant. Sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes it gets rough and uncomfortable. But the bottom line is it's something that you decide to do for your own good and you're controlling your time and it's highly productive. So always be exercising. There's another way to have control of your time. Okay. And then the last thing I want to say is this, and this has to do again with your relationships, but uh, not so much in terms of taking back your time, like saying no and stuff like that. But this is more about just the people that you associate yourself with. And what I want to say is keep positive, purposeful company. Keep positive, purposeful company. Because when you are around people who are not doing anything, not working on anything, not talking about anything important or meaningful, you're going to fall in line with that. Like you're one of them. And you're going to be wasting your time. And if you're wasting your time, you don't have control of it. Let me say that again. If you're wasting your time, you do not have control over it. You can't be wasting time and then at the same time say that you have control over it. No, you're just wasting time. So keep yourself in the company of positive, purposeful people so that when you're around them, okay, you're feeding off their energy. They're feeding off your energy. Everybody's, making progress on something. Everybody's lifting everybody up. You want to be around people who lift you up. It doesn't mean that they're always patting you on the back and telling you what you want to hear. Sometimes there'll be people who tell you something you need to hear. But it's just being around people who, you know, you rise together, right? You want to have friends, family members, fine too, but you want to have people that you're around like that. Okay. These are ways that you can control your time. So let me just go over that list again. Number one was this: take time back. Number two, buy time back. Number three, always be learning. Number four, always be exercising. Number five, keep positive, purposeful company. So that's how you get control of your time. So I know you already know all of that, but Are you on top of it? If you're not on top of this stuff, okay, if you're letting that stupid smartphone control what you do, tell you to respond to this, and look at that, watch this, okay, you're not in control of your time. I want you to get in control of your time, okay? This modern world is trying to rob you of all your attention. It's trying to keep you focused on an agenda that's not yours. You have to stay cognizant of that. Stay on top of the situation. Control your time. That's my message to you today. Talk to you next time.